1985, Tom Holland. No, no, not that one. There we go. Wrote and directed Fright Night, his directorial debut, as a matter of fact. Yes, I made a Tom Holland joke twice this month. Fuck you. Perhaps it's the only good film that he's made, ironically. It has remained one of the best vampire films of the 80s and even received a sequel in 1988. Then, almost 30 years after the first, it received a remake. This is one of those movies that is pretty damn good on its own. Compared to the original, it's just fine, but on its own, it has some really good ideas, some really good character moments, and overall, a pretty good story that's pretty much just a modernization of the original. Charlie is a bit douchier, Amy is a bit more of the suburban white girl rather than the girl next door, and Evil Ed is far less annoying than in the original film, and it's one of the few things that the remake improved upon. I felt Farrell was trying way too hard to be cool when Chris Sarandon just naturally was. That's how it was with this movie, like it was trying too hard to be cool and awesome that it kind of forgot to be scary and interesting, somewhat similar with the Dawn of the Dead, but this was still far more interesting and enjoyable, as well as the fact I would probably watch it again. In terms of the things that the remake was really good about was definitely parts of Amy's character. I felt like it was a good modernization. She was the typical popular girl, but wasn't one dimensional like I thought she was going to be. She was actually interesting, gave a good performance, and I liked her character very much. But Amanda Beers did a very good job in the original as the girl next door type of deal, which Holland was going for. However, at times it was kind of hard to take her seriously because half the time I expected Al Bundy to pop out and start heckling her and calling her a chicken. But that's not the movie's fault. Evil Ed was definitely a lot better here than in the original because Ed is pretty much the only major detriment to the original film. Way too fucking annoying, and it's never clear as to why he turns into a vampire. Meanwhile, here, it's literally after Charlie tells him that his life got better after he wasn't in it. I definitely think that's cause to turn to the dark side. Also, as much as I love David Tennant, I didn't like Peter Vincent in this movie, and his arc was not as interesting. The way they had Vincent in the original was interesting and clever. Here, he's just yet another example of the movie trying too hard to be cool. I didn't really know how to word this film to my liking, but after I saw another quick review of the movie, he managed to word it really well. He stated that it, quote, cleverly takes different turns from the original to avoid repetition, whilst at the same time remaining with a faithful structure, explores the same themes in a different, more modern way. End quote. I think that pretty much covers it. It's similar enough to call it a remake, but it's different enough that it's its own thing. It does some things better than the original, like certain characters and some of the action, but for the most part, it does a lot of things worse than the original. Like many other characters, the more extreme tone and the god awful CGI. However, despite this, it's still a pretty damn good remake that is still fun to watch, despite its flaws. The original is far superior.